I was talking to God about it, and He's like, you put all this stuff on yourself. You put this timeline, these deadlines on yourself. Yes, I told you you're going to write more books. Yes, I told you to write a Bible study about this and to write a book about that. I didn't tell you you had a deadline. I want to share a little testimony with you. So for a couple years, I have really been feeling like I was behind on the things that God has called me to do, the things that He's put in my heart. I am an author, and back in 2020, I published my first book. It's a devotional, and I knew that I had more books in me. I knew, and I know God wants me to write more books. Also, in 2018, He called me to start this YouTube channel, and I love making videos. I really love doing this. This is not anything I would have thought to do on my own, so I was really surprised when God called me to start this YouTube channel, but I absolutely love doing this. I also have a blog, and I just did not have time to blog. We're talking about for over 2 years. I used to have a business, and at the beginning of 2020, God said, all right, it's time to end this business. While I was feeling burnt out with the business, I had no idea why God had told me to end the business. But I found out later that year. At the end of 2020, I made some big life decisions and life changes. And for a whole year, I worked full time, and I was also pregnant during that year. So I had no time to do any YouTube videos, write a book, blog, or anything. I also wanted to have another business, and I didn't know what that was going to be. So I had my baby. I got remarried. I have my youngest is 2 now, and my older ones are 15 and 20. So I really thought that after I had my baby, after a few months, I'd have the energy and I'd be able to get back to blogging and writing and maybe doing some videos, right? No, that didn't happen. In fact, my son did not start sleeping through the night until he was almost 2 years old. So for almost 2 years, my husband and I did not get a good night's sleep. So I was tired, I was exhausted, and I was focusing on my kids, my baby and my teenager, who obviously still lives at home, and my family. But I was trying every now and then. I was trying to write something. I tried to do a video. It just wasn't happening consistently. Last year, I did start blogging again. I did start doing some live videos on Facebook like I used to do. But I just never had enough time or energy or even bandwidth to work on these things. Also, last year, God answered my prayer as to what kind of new business I should have. And so I started an apparel business. I really have not had enough time to put into that business what I want to put into it. So again, I just had been feeling behind on everything and overwhelmed. And recently, a couple months ago, I was talking to God about it, and he's like, you put all this stuff on yourself. You put this timeline, these deadlines on yourself. Yes, I told you you're going to write more books. Yes, I told you to write a Bible study about this and to write a book about that. I didn't tell you you had a deadline. And I'm like, oh, yes, you have this business. I've given you this business. But I didn't tell you you have to sell so much every month or you have to make so many new designs every month. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I realized I was putting demands on myself, timelines on myself, and pressure on myself. And none of that was from God. It was all from me. So he gave me clear direction on what to focus on first and what my next step is going to be after that. So just to be, candid with you guys, like my first thing that I'm focusing on right now is my YouTube channel and making videos that are hopefully encouraging people and pointing them to God. That is what I'm most passionate about, whether it be through a video or a book or a speaking engagement. Those are things that I've done in the past. I know that those are things that I'm still going to do. Just because I haven't done them in 3, 4, 5 years does not mean that it's over. So I wanted to share this with you and encourage you, if you are feeling overwhelmed and God has told you that there are things he has for you to do and wants you to do, just ask him if you're putting everything on yourself at once that you shouldn't be. And like in Proverbs 16, it says, verse 3 says, commit your works to the Lord and your plans will be established. Verse 9 says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. So we can know some of the things God has planned for us. He'll tell us, but we don't know the timing of everything. Sometimes he tells us things in advance so we can prepare for them. Before I wrote my first book, he told me like probably 3-4 years before that I was going to write a book. I had no idea what I was going to write about. But in those 4 years up to writing my book, I really thought about, what does God want me to write about? And when I went through certain situations in life, I would ask God, is this what you want me to write about it? Is this a testimony you want me to put down in a book? And so that's kind of how I prepared. You want to prepare yourself in any way that you can. Now, I also want to say, if God is telling you to do something now, do it now. Don't put it off just because you have other things going on in life and you feel too busy. If he's telling you to do it now, do it now. Make it your priority. Also, we are all really busy, and most of the time we are going to have to sacrifice time to work on the things that God has called us to do, or to do the things that he has called us to do. We are going to have to make that sacrifice. But I just want to make sure that you talk to God and make sure you're not putting more on your shoulders than what needs to be on your shoulders right now. Your plate isn't more full than what it needs to be. Excuse me. Look at your plate and say, God, what's on this plate that you didn't put there? And he'll show you. All right. I really hope that this helped you today. And if you haven't already, I'd love if you would subscribe to this channel. Share this with a friend if you think it'll encourage them. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed and live free.